Hello everyone, Science Viking here, and it's time to return to Myth 2 Soulblighter. So, we just made it through the Ermine with moderate casualties. Let's see what the next level has in store for us.
Monday, December 22nd, Theomir's Gorge, the Stair of Grief. Until this afternoon, the winter had been very mild, almost an extension of autumn. But now the sleet, snow, and fearsome winds make our ascent up the Stair of Grief extremely treacherous. Even worse, we are not alone. Our scouts report seeing terrifying shapes lurking about, masked by the foul weather. Etri and his men have been preparing ambush sites throughout the pass for the better part of the day. 12-motion Jewel Skull says he was last here 60 years ago, fighting alongside the likes of Durak and Turgeis with burning steel. They caught the Deceiver and the remnants of his army in this very defile, and here destroyed them. Today the Dramas River is frozen solid, but back then it was a muddy torrent of melted snow and ice brought on by the eruption of Tharsis. The Deceiver was plunged into the river and swept far downstream, his scepter sinking to the bottom. I asked 12-motion why King Ulrich believes the Deceiver will throw in with our lot. He explained how the Deceiver has been frozen in a half-death beneath the river, clinging to life through sorcery alone, with no power left to free himself. The king believes that if we were to revive him and return the scepter, the focus of his power, he would no doubt join our cause. Though our numbers are few, we will guard the pass against Soulblighter's hordes. It is inevitable that we will be forced to fall back toward the Dramas as the enemy advances, but we must give 12-motion enough time to recover the Deceiver's scepter.
So this is a purely defensive mission. We just need to hold our ground, retreating as needed to buy time to retrieve the scepter. So, what are our mission objectives? The Legions of the Dark approach. Ambush the enemy troops coming up the pass, falling back when necessary. Destroy them all. And our level hints. You can position your dwarves and bowmen on ledges above the passes to rain fire down on the enemy. You'll have a very hard time if you lose your dwarves early on. Try to save your satchels for mauls. We'll find out what that means a little later. If you've got the time, lay more satchels between waves. Use a fast unit to lure the enemy into the midst of your satchels. Yeah, satchels play a rather central role in this level. Anyway, before we proceed, I'm going to quick get us up a fresh recording file. Oh, let's let this guy say his piece first.
The charges are all set, boss.
All right, men. Let's not get careless now.
Yep. So it begins. Anyway, before we proceed, I'm quick going to get us up a fresh recording file. I will be back in a moment. Okay, I am back, and the Thrall are slowly advancing on our position. Got 4 bowmen and 2 dwarves to deal with all of this. This could be a challenge. And to make things even worse, it's snowing. Snow has a chance to extinguish Molotovs. Be careful. Now, the way that this works is that we gradually fall back. So we have a series of defensive positions set up, and we wear the enemy down while gradually retreating. Okay, that's the last one we can afford to toss. Get the berserks in there to finish the job. That includes you. That includes you, Rundir. You also have to fight. Rundir was in the back there, was apparently on a coffee break. The other issue is that despite a journeyman being mentioned in the level intro, we will never actually get a journeyman in this level, which means that we don't have the ability to heal injured units. One more way in the back. If you can... Okay. There. Alright, that... There are a lot of them still living. There are a lot of thralls still living, but at least they're damaged enough that the berserks can finish the job. And now we need to fall back because we have a new enemy type. Mauls. Mauls are giant pig-looking motherfuckers that are really powerful. Now, Mauls are quite slow. They're a little faster than Thrall, but they are still quite slow. However, they're very durable and they hit very hard. Like the Myrcridia, they're actually stronger than any of the units that we will ever get to have.
Move there, move there.
To the point where if we tried to take the Mauls down using conventional weapons, we would not succeed. That's why we have this bunch of satchel charges set up here. We need to wait for the Mauls to gather on top of the satchel charges. And now. And there we go. And one of them survived anyway, because Mauls are pretty, as I said, Mauls are really durable. But the bowman can take care of that. The issue is
we should
where...
fall back to the second ambush point.
Yep, we should fall back to the second ambush point, where once there were satchel charges, now there are none. This means we need to get to the next ambush point, which is back here. That's fundamentally the way that this level is structured. We hold our ground until we've run out of satchel charges. When we run out of satchel charges, we stop holding our ground anymore. And the enemies will just all come from this direction. And here's more of them now.
Let's go.
Alright. Can we get into position before the Thrall catch up to us?
Let's go.
How much of a lead do we have? Okay, I think we have enough of a lead. The issue is the dwarves actually have a fairly large amount of distance that they need to cover because they need to get up onto this ledge. Now, the opening level hint suggested that you want to place the bowman on the ledge too, but you actually don't. Because the issue is if you place the bowman behind the dwarves on the ledge, the bowmen need to aim down in order to hit the enemy, and so they'll aim down and end up shooting their own dwarven allies in the back. And that when the bowmen are repeatedly accidentally shooting the dwarves, that creates all kinds of problems. You have to get human resources involved, and we just don't want to do that. So the bowmen are actually going to be standing here. Let's move them back a little bit. And the bowmen are looking like they're going to be rather necessary. But fortunately, duds can be detonated by live grenades, allowing for secondary explosions. Okay, now we have another big square of Thrall. It is kind of funny. The enemy starts off all in formation, and then once they start to see us and start to get close to us, their formation gradually falls apart into just a big glob. But we're fighting an army of zombies, and conveniently, zombies are real stupid, so we can just stand our ground and watch as they gradually amble into the meat grinder. After the zombie apocalypse wouldn't really be that dangerous. Just set up some of these around your set up something like this around your inhabited areas and watch the zombies just kind of gradually amble into inevitable death. However, we now have our second batch of Mauls. And once again, for the giant pig motherfuckers, we're gonna need the satchel charges. Which means I need to pull the bowmen back a bit farther to make sure they're outside of the blast radius. We can at least try to take them out without the satchel charges, but it's extremely unlikely that we'll succeed. Well, well, it looks like we're gonna have to take the Mauls out without the satchel charges because we accidentally detonated the satchels prematurely. Okay, one more toss. And that'll do it. The bowman can finish the job.
Units received.
We need help. Follow me.
However, we used up the satchel charges. Now we gotta fall back even further, and this time we have to fall back while being pursued by Thrall. Good news is we're faster than them. The bad news is basically everything else.
I'm moving.
However, while those guys are moving, I can start getting this group into formation. And this place has 2 satchel traps instead of just 1, which means we can hold out longer. And they've kindly gifted us more bowmen and an additional dwarf. And more berserks, who are actually going to be pretty necessary before the end. Technically speaking, if you play this level perfectly, you will never actually need your berserks to do anything, but it's kind of hard to achieve that. Okay, dwarves, stay towards this side, because the issue is there are soulless that are going to come over the hill here. Right, yeah, the bowmen are in position, the berserks are where they should be. The dwarves being separate from everyone else is an issue, because the soulless can easily pick them off, and there's not a lot we can do to prevent that if they get too far from the rest of the group. Come on, lift those knees. I mean, you're only trudging through a snowfield in the middle of a blizzard. Okay, just keep moving.
Move here, move there.
Let's grab a berserk to serve as a decoy. We don't want to attempt to fight the soulless until they give up the high ground.
I'm moving.
And have the dwarves just head straight for the top of the cliff. And okay, get these berserks out of the way where they're unlikely to.
What now? Okay. Yes.
Okay, you get out of there before you die.
All right. Got
Okay. Yeah, I'm not very good at dealing with soulless. Alright, there we go. Get our last decoy berserk over there. And now we have 3 dwarves. Once again, however, the bowmen aren't really very good at avoiding friendly fire, so I can't position them up here. The other thing is it's necessary to be very careful when using explosives around here, because you could very easily detonate the satchel traps early. Well, that's unlikely to accidentally kill our own units. It does mean we then won't have them when we actually need them. And the thrall have finally arrived. Alright, come on, suckers. Come on. You know you wanna. Followed by even more thrall.
Yeah.
Come on, just keep walking forward. That's the ultimate undead battle strategy. Just walk forward slowly. Also not sure what's over here, but I believe enemies can come from here. Okay. And more thrall employing the well-worn battle tactic of walking forward slowly. You know, gotta keep with the traditions and all that. The thrall are kind of interesting because they're only really a threat if you lose your dwarves. As long as you have your dwarves, the thrall are no threat whatsoever. So they exist for 2 purposes. One, they're kind of filler. They're just kind of a filler enemy to feel like you're taking out more enemies and feel like it's a bigger fight. The other function of the thrall, though, is that they kind of serve as a punishment for losing your dwarves. Because there are enough thrall in this level that if you lose all of your dwarves, you can't feasibly take them out with just your bowmen and your berserks. So they're just kind of the thrall are kind of the sword of Damocles waiting for you in case you mess up badly enough and run out of dwarves. And now we have our first interaction with mauls.
What?
This is also the best defensive position that we're going to get, so we want to hold our ground here for as long as possible. Yeah, the dwarves know what's coming. One more, only the... Alright. Okay, that did set off the satchel trap, which is unfortunate. I was hoping to avoid that. But we don't need to do anything else to those mauls. The bowmen and the berserks can handle them. So we need to focus on this group. This is actually, of the defensive positions that we get, this is the best one. So if possible, we want to essentially preserve this one. Which means we want to avoid using that second satchel trap if we can. Alright. One critically injured maul. We have managed
New units received.
We have managed to avoid using the last satchel trap. No, actually. Because the last ambush point, you see here, if we look here, this is the last ambush point. And this is 12 motion jeweled skull digging in the river to find the Deceiver's scepter. But the last ambush point may have numerous satchel traps, but it doesn't have any high ground, and it has a lot of points that the enemy can enter through. So we actually want to avoid using that ambush point if we can. It's not worthless, but if possible, we want to keep the enemy here. Because if we can keep the enemy here, we'll have a much easier time taking them out. Of course, for all I know, I usually do end up retreating after this point, but for all I know, I'm going to discover that actually the enemy can secretly, the enemy has a route that they can go around to get to the last ambush point. So in fact, I'm going to take a berserk and I'm going to explore a little. Yep. That's the problem. There's... Okay, so we can't actually hold on to this ambush point the way that I thought we could, because the enemy can come through here, and our dwarves are completely out of position.
Let's go. I'm moving. Yes, sir.
Alright. So, now we're going to need to do things just slightly differently. Step 1, see previous comments about the thrall being a punishment. Our dwarves are completely out of position, so we're going to have a little bit of difficulty taking these thrall out.
Yes.
Fortunately, without the high ground, the risk of bowman-friendly fire is significantly lower.
I'm moving.
Get out of the water.
Dwarves, do your thing.
Yes.
What now?
Okay, that's going to be a big chain reaction whenever one of those actually manages to explode.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a plan.
Yes, sir.
Start by positioning a couple of dwarves up there. No, I didn't mean to order the dwarves to move. I wanted to select the bowmen. Keep the bowmen around here-ish. Position a couple of dwarves over here. And now we just need a couple of berserks to serve as scouts. Whoa.
Yes.
And... Okay, run. Okay. That ain't good. I was not ready for that group of mauls. Well, it looks like the berserks are going to get some action.
Casualty.
Yeah, we already lost one of them. What do we got here? More mauls. Alright. Alright, everybody fall back behind the satchel charges. Just get back. Back.
Yeah.
Back. We're not running away, we're attacking in a different direction. Okay, we need to get into position. And the mauls are... What are they doing now? They just got turned around and milled about for a second and then resumed chasing us. Alright. Bowman into position here. Ish. Berserks over here.
What now?
We have two dwarves guarding each satchel trap.
What?
Yeah, the lack of high ground and the large number of entrance points makes this not really a very good defensible position. But we gotta make the most of what we got, because we need to buy time for the journeyman to find the magic stick at the bottom of a river. So, you know, you do what you gotta do. Okay, the timing has to be just right. Just right. Just right. Just right. Go. Okay, for a second I was worried they were both going to be duds. That would have been horrible.
Over here! Let's go!
Okay, I have a plan now.
Okay.
Because I don't want to waste this satchel trap. So the first step is to grab a nice, enterprising young berserk. And I'm going to see if I can lead the enemy into the satchel trap that still exists. Which means first I need to find the enemy. Because, yeah, there's a lot more of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go!
Get their attention. Lead them into the desired position.
Yeah.
Okay. Just a little more. Just run across the minefield. Trust me, nothing bad will happen to you as you run across the minefield. Okay, get the dwarves to wait, go. That took out a lot fewer of them than the last one did. And the dwarves decided to just add one more to their kill count. Whoa! So what happens when I'm trying to click on the ground and instead I accidentally click on the mini-map? Oh, that's it! We got him! We found the scepter!
Yay! Yay! Hey, we did it!
Kill ratio of 111 to 1. We only lost 2 guys and they were both berserks. To no one's surprise whatsoever, the dwarves did 80% of the damage, though the damage doesn't usually break down this evenly, with 80%, 10%, and 10%. But yeah, this is the kind of level that tends to go either really good or really bad. If you handle things well, you can just keep leading the enemy into your fields of satchel charges and wearing them down. On the other hand, if you start to make mistakes, the mistakes tend to pile up really quickly, where you gradually get forced out of formation, and once you're trying to fight off these groups of enemies while you're out of formation, you get into real trouble. Anyway, we have found a skull on a stick. What do we have to do with it?
Saturday, January 10th, Angkor Vadal Glacier, the Cloud Spine. As soon as 12-motion dual skull pried the Deceiver scepter from the Dramus's icy clutches, we fled the Stair of Grief and headed north in search of the man himself. Still, this accursed storm rages, killing as surely as a thrall's axe or a Mercridia's claws. Riftir's death brings our losses from the storm to 3. Our scouts have brought back news of an odd group of men who have gathered nearby. From their description alone, 12-motion recognized them as warlocks from the Sholomance, ancient allies of the Deceiver and collaborators of the Fallen Lords. If they are on the glacier, then so is the Deceiver. The enemy is still close at our heels. We all wonder how they have been able to pursue us despite the horrendous weather and the best efforts of our scouts to conceal our tracks. Perhaps they were drawn to something other than us. Does Soulblighter seek to enlist the aid of yet another of his former allies? It seems unlikely, once you consider the intense hatred the rest of the Fallen Lords had for the Deceiver. Only Balor seemed capable of holding them together, and even he was not always successful. Many stories from the Great War tell of open discord between the Fallen Lords. Now we will take advantage of it. We have devised a plan for the Berserks to lead our pursuers directly into the Warlock's clutches. We should be able to sneak in and revive the Deceiver during the ensuing chaos. It has been nearly a month since we left King Ulrich and the rest of the Legion at White Falls. I can only imagine the terrible battle that must have been waged there in our absence.
Mission objectives. Search the glacier for the Deceiver. Find him before Soulblighter's forces kill him. Use the Deceiver's scepter and an incantation to revive him. Don't follow the journeyman at the beginning. Fireballs follow the terrain and can be lured into gorges where they will explode harmlessly. Keep track of which berserk has the scepter. You'll need him to revive the Deceiver. Try to lure the enemy within range of the warlocks. The more they fight each other, the better. You can make it to the Deceiver without killing anyone.
Do you remember the words you must say over him?
Aye.
Well, recite them.
Look, I ken the words. Now get moving.
So, we
Let's
have
go.
6 berserks, one of whom is carrying the Deceiver's scepter.
Yeah.
All we need to do is
Let's go.
get to the Deceiver.
Over here.
Now, this is an unusual
Let's go.
level in a couple of different
Yeah.
ways. One
Yeah.
of those ways is that there are 2
moving.
different factions
I'm moving.
participating here. So we have Soulblighter's forces, which is just a bunch of
Yeah.
Mauls and
Let's
Soulless,
go.
and we have the Warlocks. Soulblighter's
moving.
forces are trying to get to where the Deceiver is so that
Over
they can
here.
kill him. The Warlocks are trying to protect the Deceiver and will attack anyone who tries to get near the glacier. The issue is, anyone includes us, because I'm guessing they don't realize that we're trying to help rescue the Deceiver.
Yeah.
So, we need to try to use the distraction created
moving.
by the Mauls charging in
moving.
to
I'm
get
moving.
ourselves in
Let's
to
go.
take out the, to rescue the Deceiver.
Yeah. Over here. I'm moving.
So, that Warlock is going to try to take on that group of Mauls. The Warlocks are interesting, because if you look here, this blue thing at the top is a mana meter. Yeah, they actually have mana.
Here.
The way that works is, casting their Fireball ability, which is their main attack,
moving.
costs half of their maximum mana. So from a full mana bar, they can do it twice. But and they can fire 2 fireballs in relatively quick succession. But after they've done
Let's
that,
go.
they
Let's
can't
go.
attack again for a decent while they wait for their mana to recharge.
Over here.
So, the significance of this is you can get the Warlocks to deplete their mana attacking
here.
something that isn't you, like the Mauls, and then once their mana is depleted, you can basically just run past them while they're waiting for
Let's
their
go.
mana to regenerate, because mana potions haven't been invented yet.
I'm moving.
So we actually need this group of pet Mauls and Soulless, who have just gotten distracted
Let's
and wandered
go.
off.
I'm
That's a
moving.
potential problem. The other issue is that there's essentially a time limit on this mission.
Yeah.
Oh, new Mauls
Yeah.
and Soulless that we can lead around. There's essentially a
go.
time limit on this mission. Without our intervention, Soulblighter's forces will win and will kill the Deceiver.
I'm moving.
So we need to get there before that happens to rescue him. And with 6 Berserks, we
Yeah.
do not have the resources to actually
Let's go.
fight the Mauls and Soulless to stop them from doing that. So, last level
Yeah.
was all about standing our ground and
Yeah.
wearing the enemy down. This level is all about moving quickly and quietly and just sneaking
Over
through
here.
and
Yeah.
letting the enemy do most of the work for you.
I'm moving.
It's a really interesting contrast with the last mission. And we actually need to hold our ground for a
go.
minute because there are no tracks in this snow, which means the enemy hasn't gotten this far yet. They're not directly following us, but they're taking this
Let's
route.
go.
So, actually now we're gonna, so,
Let's go. Yeah.
we need to wait for them to catch up to us a little bit,
Let's go.
like so.
Yeah. I'm moving.
Ideally, we want to be behind the Mauls and Soulless when they approach this area, because there's a ridiculously huge number of Warlocks up here. Unfortunately, we do not live in an ideal world.
I'm moving. Yeah.
And this group is not strong enough to pose a meaningful threat to the Warlocks, so they're
Over
of no.
here.
This group is too weak to be useful to us as a distraction,
I'm
and
moving.
they're going to force us to start the
Yeah,
fight earlier
I'm
than we
moving.
want to. So I'm actually just
Yeah.
going to kill these guys. Because the good news is they're worn down enough already that we can lose a Berserk taking on that small of a group. Yeah, did I tell you that Mauls were dangerous?
I'm moving.
Because mauls are dangerous. Okay, we still have Scepter Guy.
Yeah. I'm moving.
Yeah, the thing about this is, like I said, the Warlocks have limited mana. So we don't actually need to wait for the Warlocks to be killed by the enemy. We just need to wait for the Warlocks to deplete their mana, blowing up the Mauls and the Soulless. And even if they succeed, they won't be able to do anything about us just running really fast past them to just tag the goal and escape.
I'm moving.
So let's just keep our distance so that we don't cause this group to start targeting us. And this is actually kind of the ideal situation for this level.
Yeah.
Well, aside from the one Soulless and the one Maul that have gotten distracted and decided to come our way.
I'm moving.
The other thing about dealing with Warlocks that makes them so dangerous is their attack, their fireball, actually follows the target. So once they target you with a fireball, the fireball will turn to follow you if you try to evade it. Meaning it's pretty much impossible to dodge. The one way to avoid being hit by it is, as was mentioned in a level hint, it follows the ground. And so you can lure a fireball into one of these gorges where it will essentially detonate prematurely. Okay, looks like the Warlocks have pretty definitively lost this fight. Okay, that isn't Scepter Guy. Which means, now, we enact our plan. Run fast. We need to run fastly. Except these two Warlocks haven't died and still have mana. Shit, 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 shit. Run! Run! Okay, just need to evade that last fireball. Okay, we may survive. Or not, because there's two more of them that I forgot about.
I'm moving. I'll do it.
Casualty.
Okay. And time for the last resort strategy when dealing with Warlocks, which is to just run one of your own units at them to get them to deplete their mana. Okay, we lost 2/3 of the force, but we still have Scepter Guy. That's all we need. Scepter Guy is all you need. Just keep running. Okay.
I'm moving.
And we made it. Can rescue Source of the 500 Poisons, the Deceiver. Rescuing a guy named Source of the 500 Poisons, this is suddenly not seeming like a good idea.
Kleinbeek, Veratus, Nectu?
Close enough. Now let us away.
And we made it. We rescued the Deceiver. Probably won't surprise you to learn it took me a few tries to get that one right. I'll be uploading my series of failed takes as a separate video. And we lost so many guys that Soling, Durin, and Ladi, 3 dwarves who didn't participate in the mission at all, managed to be heroes. They literally did nothing, but they're still higher up on the hero list than Glainier, Chooser of the Slain, who was our one Berserk who was a hero. Those are the only 2 Berserks who survived. Glainier was a Scepter Guy, so I suppose he kind of deserves to be on the hero list. But yeah, we killed 4 guys. Anyway, with that mission under our belt, we've resurrected the Deceiver. Let's find out what we're going to do with him.
Sunday, February 1st, the 12 Duns, south of Rionen. The Deceiver is deranged. Of this I am absolutely convinced. He has brought us here, to the 12 Duns, closer to the Trout Domain than any sane man has dared in 2 generations. We are a mere 4 hours' march from the lost city of Rionen. The Deceiver claims to be held in high regard by the Trow as a being of furor poeticus. He has told us of their battles against the Mercridia, and believes he can win the Trow to our cause. Apparently, the Trow are not convinced that our race is worth fighting for, but they have agreed to do battle with Soulblighter for 1 year if we can defeat them in a game of their devising. The Trow have placed 6 flags on the field, and if we can control the majority at the end of a period of time that they deem fair, they will assist us. To wit, we shall send forth our best warriors to do battle with the Trow.
Mission objectives. After 12 minutes, you must control 4 or more flags. If at any time you control all 6 flags, you win. Level. Goals do not make good spectators. They will attack your forces and may recapture flags. You don't have to kill the Trow to win, but it helps. Trow move fast. It isn't possible to run them down. Let your berserks sharpen their swords on Goalhide before taking on the Trow. Several bowmen can inflict significant damage on a Trow. Don't take on a Trow with a small group. You need berserks and lots of them. Don't leave bowmen unprotected. You don't have enough troops to securely guard all of the flags. Anyway, before we proceed, I am actually going to quick get us a fresh recording file. I will be back in a moment. Okay, I am back.
Let's go.
Got us a fresh recording file. Now, there are fundamentally 2 schools of thought regarding dealing with this level. One way is basically to play the level normally, which is if you control enough of the flags at the end of the time limit, you win. The other
way.
The other school of thought is, well, if you kill all 3 of the Trow, you just win.
Let's go.
So, on other playthroughs I have, usually on lower difficulties, I will just kill all of the Trow, and that's my way of dealing with, that's my way of ending the mission. This one I'm going to do kind of a mixture. I'm mostly going to go for the flags, but, well, the Trow can't capture flags if they're dead. So, I have this berserk here. And he's not going to be able to take on that many goals all by himself.
Yeah. Yes.
I'll have these berserks just clear out some of these goals. There are a lot of goals. They can actually create some rather significant problems. But this is probably one of the more defendable positions on this map. So I'm going to set up here and attempt to kill off some of the Trow. And while I'm at it, I'm going to send individual runners off to capture other flags. The goal is basically to provoke the Trow into coming after us here so that we can kill them. Because the thing is, the Trow move faster than us. We can't meaningfully hold on to the flags if the Trow can just keep running over and poking them. But we can't defend all of the flags. We can't even defend 4. At most, we can defend 2 flags effectively from the Trow. And we need to control 4 in order to end the mission. So the only way to make this work is if some of the Trow are no longer alive at the end of the mission. So that's what the plan is. And part of the reason why I'm choosing this flag as opposed to one of the other ones is the goals don't, there are fewer goals in this area. While those guys are doing that, you go after this flag.
Over here. Let's go.
Those are just... Their goals up here are just spectators. They won't do anything to us. They just are kind of watching. Same thing with this guy. He can't get down here to attack us. He'll just watch.
I'm moving.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I see a Trow. See if we can get his attention.
Over here.
Hold up for a second while I take control of this guy.
Let's
Send
go.
him over to there. And it looks like we have the Trow's attention. Trow move faster than berserks, but the good news is that the Trow move only slightly faster than berserks. Okay, that's not good.
I'm moving.
We do not want to fight both of those Trow at the same time, so I'm going to have this guy just run in the other direction and hopefully not get the attention of the Trow. This Trow is going to get here first. But if we can get rid of 2 of them, that's a pretty big start to winning the mission.
I'm moving. I'm moving.
Alright. Don't want the bowmen to walk forward. I want them to stay on their hill, but...
We've got 8 more minutes of this.
And yeah, this is another thing that Trow will occasionally do, where they'll just start running back and forth doing nothing. Ah, damn it, bowman! Stay on your hill. I just need... Stay on your hill. If you walk off the hill, we're in trouble. It's the other problem... Oh, great. And now a whole bunch of ghouls decided they want in on this fight, too. Fortunately, as you can see, the bowman can erode through the Trow's hit points very quickly.
Casualty.
The issue is that a Trow can erode through bowman's hit points even... Whoa!
Casualty.
I'm moving. Yeah.
As you saw...
Casualty.
that berserk just died. Okay, as you saw, the bowman can erode through a Trow's hit points very quickly. The issue is that Trow can kill bowman even more quickly. So we already took out one on one side. Now we need to do the same thing on the other side.
Let's go.
Also, the Trow, being extremely tall, can go through water that is much deeper than the water that our units can go through, giving them a further movement advantage. This is why it's extremely difficult to outmaneuver them. It's apparently not very difficult to outsmart them, though, if this Trow is any indication.
Casualty. Casualty.
Oh, great, we're down to just 2 berserks. Okay. And now we just scramble. There's not even much point in keeping a berserk to guard the bowmen, but they're down to just 1 Trow now. They do have goals, but the goals don't really intervene that much. So now it's just a matter of getting the berserks to run around the map really quickly, seizing control of as many flags as possible. So I got 1 going clockwise, I got 1 going counterclockwise, and just sprint. On this difficulty, this is the only way I've been able to work out to get it done. I'm sure it's possible to kill the, I'm sure it's possible to kill all 3 of the Trow on this difficulty, but if so, I've kind of already failed. I only have 2 berserks left. It would require an absurdly large amount of luck to take out the 3rd Trow.
Let's go.
And in case anyone was wondering, no, this is not my first attempt at this mission. Both this level and the Deceiver took me several tries to get right. I'm going to upload a video edited together of just all of my failed attempts at both levels. That'll just be a separate video that goes up. It's interesting, I'm pretty good at like the normal levels in this game, but the gimmick levels, like the Deceiver where you have only berserks, or this level where you have the capturing the flag mechanic, those are the levels that are really tough for me.
Yeah.
It's like the standard mechanics I can handle fine, but this kind of stuff really seems to go over my head. Anyway, it looks like this might be the final successful attempt that I need. Okay. That's goals. There's nothing we can do about that. We do not have the manpower to take them on. But we just need to control a minimum of 4 flags when the timer expires. If we can control all of them, that's good, but we don't have the forces to do that, I think. I'm not sure those goals are going to reclaim that flag, but if they do... If they don't, that'd be awesome if I actually managed to get all 6 flags. But there's probably... Since the Trow doesn't appear to be anywhere else, there's probably a Trow guarding one of these flags. Or are we actually going to do this? Where'd the last Trow go? There he is! And it doesn't matter.
Haggis all around, and a little scotch too.
And another one of those pre-rendered cutscenes. There was actually one that was supposed to happen before a previous level that we missed because it glitched out a little bit. And the Trow is angrily descending upon the Berserk who grabbed the last flag. Yeah, that's the more conventional way to do that. Open the mission by killing off a couple of the Trow, and then there just won't be enough of them for them to hold on to all of the flags. Though, also, that's literally the first time I've ever pulled that off. That's the first time that I've ever actually managed to win by getting all 6 flags at the same time. Usually I just narrowly have 4 when the mission ends, or I just kill the Trow. So, congratulations, you just saw the first time I ever managed to get all 6. Anyway, with 3 missions and numerous failed takes under our belt, this is going to be the end for this part. Thank you all for watching, I love you all, and I will see you next time.